Good morning, traders. This is Shane Scott, the moderator of Newsware's Trade Talk. At Trade Talk, we're providing you with the most up-to-the-minute news on the market, along with the facts, themes, and short-term trading ideas for the day ahead. Joining me today is our trading anchor, Bill Olson, who brings over 30 years of institutional trading knowledge to our program. Let's get things started with our markets update. U.S. futures are moving higher this morning with S&P futures up 0.41%, Dow futures up 0.46%, and NASDAQ futures up 0.44%. Markets are in the green and global stocks have rebounded as investors' concerns have eased about stimulus tapering by central banks and China's regulatory crackdown. Yet, despite an optimistic morning for futures and reaffirmation from central banks of keeping an accommodative stance, the U.S. equity benchmark is still heading for the biggest weekly slide since July 16th, threatening to make September the first loss-making month since January. Elsewhere in markets, treasury yields advanced as the benchmark 10-year rate added 3 basis points. Oil has pushed higher, with investors unmoved by China's confirmation that it has released crude from its strategic reserves. Over in Europe, stocks advanced for the first time in 4 days, allowing the Stoxx 600 index to trim weekly losses following the region's policymakers' clarification that they're calibrating but not tapering emergency support. Over in Asia, a Hong Kong gauge of Chinese tech companies jumped 2.9% in light of clarification by a newspaper that China has slowed rather than frozen new game approvals. Meanwhile, the Shanghai Composite Index climbed to a 6-year high. Bill, what are you seeing as far as market updates?
Well, Shane, I'm watching the S&Ps. They're up right now, which is positive. They've been at this level all morning long, so that's nice to see. Last night there was a key call with President Biden and the president of China. This is creating an area of expectations of a possible thaw in relations, let's call it. So it's viewed as a positive. No announcements were made, but it is nice that they're at least talking, because this was the first phone call they've had since February. I'm looking at my screen today. I'm seeing a lot of green, which is very nice. I see the major drug stocks are seeing a rebound after multiple days of selling pressure. It's nice to see a little relief there. Equity markets that are near an all-time high. And, I know that we're going to be facing additional periods of volatility. That's very likely. I've been paying attention to the Fed speak. And the Fed speak is being closely watched because these FOMC members are clearly making plans to reduce the Fed's bond buying program. And now we're talking November. Before it was December, January, we're back to November. The Fed's stimulus program has really been a significant boost to these equity markets. So when they pull it, we'll see if the equity markets are able to keep it at these levels or not. I looked over at Asia. Asia had some really strong moves. Those indexes were all up like over 1%. That didn't carry over to Europe. Europe is optimistic, especially in the miners, because of what China was doing. The miners, the oils, financial stocks, they were all seeing positive action in Europe. That's nice. But they're only up, a quarter of a point. So not as much as what China was. So there is a little concern. Key event today, PPI, Producer Price Index, coming out 1 hour before the market opens. Something to watch. Keep your eyes open for it. And, that's what I have going on this morning, Shane.
Let's move into earnings to watch, starting with earnings we've seen come in so far. Bill, why don't you tell us about it?
Sumo Logic, that's ticker SUMO, Sam, Uncle, Mary, Oscar. They beat by 3 cents, but it was done on lower revenue. That's why the stock is down 12.7% this morning. Ticker ZUMZ, Zebra, Uncle, Mary, Zebra. They beat by 16 cents. They did it on higher revenue. Yeah, I'm looking at the stock. It's off 4% this morning. Dave & Buster's, that's ticker Play, Paul, Larry, Apple, Yellow. These guys beat by 49 cents. They did it on higher revenue. When you look at the stock, it's up 9.62% this morning. Zscaler, that's ticker ZS, Zebra Sam, they beat by 5 cents. They did it on higher revenue. You look at the stock, it's up 2.65% this morning. American Outdoors, they beat by 8 cents on higher revenue. Lakeland Industries, that's ticker LAKE, Larry, Apple, Kilo, Edwards, they missed by 9 cents, and they did it on lower revenue. This was a pandemic stock. If you remember, in February of 2020, this was one of these stocks that was just taken off. It was on my option runs every day. Now it's starting to pull back. You see it's down 10% this morning off of that earnings miss. But that's what I'm seeing as far as earnings today, Shane.
How about upcoming earning announcements?
Here's an interesting one for you. Mission Produce, that's ticker AVO, Apple Victor Oscar. EPS estimate is 29 cents. The expected move here is 6.97%. Oracle, ticker ORCL, Oscar, Richard, Charlie, Larry. They're also releasing Monday afternoon. The EPS estimate is 96 cents. The expected move there is 5.98%. I'd be a little wary of Oracle. I don't see them really taking a pop after earnings for years. Lennar, which is the home builder, ticker LEN, I got to keep looking at this one because I'm not sure if they're reporting Monday or not, but their EPS estimate is $3.28. And the expected move there is about 4.11%. So I got to keep looking into it to see if they actually are reporting. I got to find that press release. But that's what I'm seeing in terms of upcoming earnings, Shane.
Moving into our economic reports, Bill, tell us what we're seeing for reports today.
At 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, that's 1 hour before the market opens, we have the PPI final demand for August. At 10 a.m., we have wholesale inventories. And at 1 p.m., you have the Baker Hughes rig count. Now, the rig count is typically very interesting, but this one's going to be lower. It's going to be lower because of the Hurricane Ida. Those wells were shut down in advance of the hurricane. So I'm looking for that number to be lower when they release those figures at 1 p.m. today. And in terms of Fed speak, you have Cleveland Fed's Loretta Mester. She's going to be speaking at 9 a.m. this morning. We'll see if she continues the FOMC members' call to start tapering earlier than what was expected. But that's what I see in terms of economic events today, Shane.
Well, moving into our morning's critical insights, starting off with a couple acquisition stories. Vista Outdoors, ticker VSTO, is set to acquire Foresight Sports, a designer and manufacturer of golf performance analysis, entertainment, and game enhancement technologies, for $474 million. KKR, ticker KKR, is selling Riata Corporate Park for $300 million to a global institutional investor. Elsewhere on the tape, food delivery services DoorDash, ticker DASH, Grubhub, ticker GRUB, and Uber Eats, ticker UBER, have filed a lawsuit to challenge New York City's legislation that seeks to limit the amount of commission they can charge from restaurants, and also to require them to obtain a 2-year operating license. In a filing with a federal court in New York, the companies argued that the permanent price controls will not only hurt the plaintiffs, but also the revitalization for the very local restaurants that the city claims to serve. The delivery companies have sought an injunction against the implementation of the legislation, as well as an unspecified monetary amount for damages. DoorDash's share price is up 1.09% in pre-market. Grubhub's is up 1.06%. And Uber's share price is around 0.5% in pre-market. In other news, Apple, ticker AAPL, according to analysts, has managed to resolve a key production issue of the Apple Watch 7, and the mass production is expected to start this month. The new model will bring a dramatic change in design with a higher screen-to-body ratio and a more stylish design that will differentiate the 7 model from previous versions. Apple's share price is up 0.5% in pre-market. News on Wells Fargo, ticker WFC. Wells Fargo has been fined $250 million by the Office of Comptroller of the Currency for unsafe or unsound practices related to deficiencies in the bank's home lending loss mitigation program and violations of the 2018 compliance consent order. The OCC also issued a cease and desist order against Wells Fargo based on the bank's failure to establish an effective home lending loss mitigation program. Wells Fargo's share price is up 2.01% in pre-market. Some news on Sony, ticker SONY. Yesterday, it had its PlayStation Showcase event, and there it made several first-time reveals for upcoming game releases, including a full remake of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which is a PS5 exclusive game, as well as 2 upcoming Marvel games, including one based on the character Wolverine and another on Spider-Man. So both are set to be released in 2023. Sony's share price is up 0.83% in pre-market. Elsewhere on the tape, Arbutus Biopharma, ticker ABUS, has jumped 13% this morning's pre-market adding to yesterday's 15% surge on optimism over a patent fight with Moderna, ticker mRNA. Arbutus received a notice of allowance on August 30th for a patent that's related to one that Moderna challenged and lost. Moderna is appealing a patent trial and appeal board ruling that upheld the validity of the two other patents of the same family. News on Microsoft, ticker MSFT. Microsoft announced yesterday that it will indefinitely delay the reopening of its headquarters in Washington, as well as other U.S. offices, making its decision in light of the continued spread of the Delta variant. Lastly, for me, news on Tesla, ticker TSLA. According to sources, CEO Elon Musk has asked workers to go, quote unquote, super hardcore in September to ensure they have a decent Q3 delivery number. Bill, what are you seeing as far as this morning's news?
Shane, I break my news alerts down into specific segments. I'm looking at specific industries, oil and gas, semiconductors, FANG stocks, and I'm looking for specific events, buybacks, earnings, any, contracts, anything that could really move the market or create volatility. I start off with my FANG sector every morning, and I look at Amazon. Amazon's planning to roll out an Alexa connected large screen TV, and they're going to be selling them at Best Buy and also, of course, on their website. Now, control of the living room has always been a dream of companies for decades. I remember Microsoft wanting to do that with the Xbox in the 90s. It's really the verge to get continual revenue for years to come. And the virtual assistant TV just may help Amazon achieve that goal. I'm looking at Apple. You just got to remember, thing about Apple, they have that event coming up next week on September 14th. Facebook, let's talk about Facebook for a second. These guys are developing a machine learning chip for tasks such as recommending content to users and data center chips to improve the video transmissions. I'm going over to my Dow Jones 30 alert. Amgen, their lung cancer treatment is now going to be used by the UK National Health Service. This is interesting to me because, the lung cancer patients in England will become the first in Europe to receive this drug that's being made by the US biotech company, and it's targeting specific gene mutations. So this is a positive news event for Amgen, which has been getting hit hard for the last 4 days. Apple, I see that Apple rejected on Thursday a request by Fortnite creator Epic Games to restore its account on the iPhone maker's iOS platform in South Korea. Where they wanted to add their own payment option. So now that tussle is really over about app development fees. Looking over at JP Morgan, I see that JP Morgan bought Zagat's Restaurant Guy. They actually bought a company that owns Zagat's, and they own a host of restaurant related websites. So that's kind of interesting that JP Morgan would buy such a company. In terms of the option data, I've been talking about the Apple's event next week and companies with the volatilities that are going into that event. Well, we also need to look at Cisco because this one has to be on watch because they're having an event next week as well. On September 15th, Cisco is having a virtual analyst day. So taking a look at the 30-day option implied volatility, that number's at 19. You look at the 52-week range of 16 to 47, you can see that that implied volatility is rather low. And in terms of guidance data that's going on out there, let's talk about Toyota Motors. That's ticker TM, Tom Michael. Toyota Motors said that it's planning to build 550,000 cars in October. This is nearly a 38% drop from their original plan of 880,000 vehicles next month. So you're seeing this weakening, production volumes out of Toyota. Why? They can't get enough chips for their automobiles. Take-Two Interactive, that's ticker TTWO, Tom William Oscar. Ooh, this is a scary one. After the close, the company reiterated its 2022 guidance. So that's next year's guidance. They said, we feel we're going to be strong in that $1.95 to $2.20 range for next year. Problem is, the street was expecting them to make more. Now, in addition to that, the company said that they announced that the launch date for two of their key video games have been pushed back from November to March. You just missed the Christmas season. That's a big deal. Yeah, Take-Two is going to be under pressure today. I also see that the airlines warned yesterday about another pandemic-driven to hit profits over the next few months. That Delta variant is erupting, a rebound in air travel. Most of the carriers have been out there saying that new travel bookings have slowed in recent weeks, and cancellations, well, they've increased. So that's a concern. Airlines are on watch, a negative watch right now. One catalyst buy idea that I see came out is ticker CPLG, Charlie Paul Larry Grace. This is core point lodging. Deutsche Bank just called it a catalyst call buy idea. So keep an eye on shares of CPLG, Charlie Paul, Larry Grace to see if there's any movement in the stock today. In terms of shareholders meeting, NetApp, that's ticker NTAP, Nancy Tom, Apple Paul, they're having a shareholders meeting. It starts tonight on Friday at 6:30 p.m. Kind of interesting. We'll see if there's anything interesting that comes out of NetApp's shareholders meeting. But that's what I'm seeing for hot stories coming out today, Shane.
Let's talk about our Trade Talk picks for today. So I'm picking Apple, ticker AAPL, and this is off of two things, right? This is off of the news about the Apple Watch 7, the issue for production being solved, and mass production being expected to start this month, and also what's happening next week, like we mentioned, the September 14th product events where they'll be showing off things that we haven't seen yet. The new iPhone, the new watch, no one's seen them. This will be the chance to really have them revealed, have them unveiled. And when events like this come up, it always tends to make share prices go higher. So this is something I expect, perhaps even going up to the event, some excitement to stir the share price higher today. If I had to pick a second pick, just to throw it out there, DoorDash, ticker DASH, it's positive news on the fight they're having against the legislation, and they could still move about $2 higher. They were up about 1.09% earlier, and they're back down to about between 0.5 and 0.7%. So, their high today is likely to be around $210.14. They're at about $209 now. So if there's a little bit of weakness at the open, I think this one that we could probably get into and expect to see a little bit of a rise today. So that's what I'm looking at. What's your pick looking like, Bill?
Going with Amgen, ticker AMGN, Apple, Mary, Grace, Nancy. Face facts, the stock's been down for 4 days in a row now because of that Morgan Stanley downgrade on the sector. Yeah, they didn't say the stock's bad. They just said, there's better opportunities elsewhere. But it caused a 4-day sell-off in the stock, and that's a little bit much. Now, this news announcement that came out about, the UK health minister, and they're going to be using their cancer drug, that is a net positive for Amgen. So I'm thinking that, this could really turn around today. You could see a nice little gain, a nice little pop in Amgen off the opening price. I'm cautious this afternoon because I do believe that the market is susceptible to, a severe sentiment change at any time. So take your profits when you can. But I am going with Amgen today. That's ticker AMGN for my pick of the day.
Let's talk about what's hot off the press. So this is the news that's hitting the tape as we speak. They'll be moving the stock market today. Let's go ahead and get into it. Bill, what are some headlines we should let traders know about?
Kroger, that's ticker KR. They topped their second quarter EPS by 16 cents and they raised guidance. Here's one on Echo Global Logistics. That's ticker ECHO. Elvis, Charlie, Harold, Oscar. The stock just got halted. News is pending.
Match Group, ticker MTCH, has appointed Renee Nyborg as the CEO of Tinder.
Dollar Tree, ticker DLTR, David, Larry, Tom, Richard. They're going to be presenting at Goldman Sachs Retailing Conference. It's a webcast event that's going to start at 9:10 a.m. today. Dollar Tree, DLTR.
Echo Global, ticker ECHO, has just been acquired by the Jordan Company for $48.25 per share.
Wow, that was quick.
Novavax, ticker NVAX, has seen weakness in its share price this morning tied to comments to investors that the submission of its COVID-19 shots to regulatory authorities would happen over the next few months. So basically, it's been delayed from its original plan. Share prices are down 4.4%.
News reports out there on Facebook's launching of its new smart glasses. Here's one on Disney, ticker DIS. ESPN chief said he had held talks to acquire the NFL Sunday ticket.
Anything else interesting for you, Bill?
No, that's all I'm seeing today, Shane.
Same here. So that's what's hot off the press. Traders, if you want to up your trading game, definitely consider getting the same news stories that we do simply by subscribing at newsware.com. Check us out and get that free trial. Moving into our scoreboard, talking about how our picks did from Thursday. I had Quest Diagnostics, ticker DGX, which opened at $158.26, and it moved over to $160.38 within the first 10 minutes. Stayed at that price till around 11 a.m. around there before flattening back out and eventually trading near $1 lower at $157.35. There was over a 1% gain, about 1.33% gain to be made from around 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. But after that, it was either breaking even or a drop in the dollar. So not a great move. Moments where it could have been a good move. And we definitely did talk about in the morning that we thought it could go up $1. So if you were conservative and you saw that dollar and took it, there was a chance to see some gains. But otherwise, I just basically just went flat or just down a little bit. So it was okay. How'd yours end up doing, Bill?
I did Chevron yesterday. That's ticker CVX, Charlie Victor X-ray. It did exactly what I thought. It was going to pop right at that open. You're going to see some nice movement there. Stock opened up at $95.89. And, during the morning, we were running into that event. And that event was the EIA oil stockpile release. It ran straight into that, all the way up to 97.62, which is a 1.8% move. And then it sold off afterwards. Just like everything, you buy the rumor, you sell the news. So as soon as the news came out, it settled back down. It settled back down to 96. But it was a good trade yesterday. And, it was a nice ride right into that event, just as I thought.
Nice. Well, that's going to do it for us here at Trade Talk. The traders, you know what to do. Let's get out there. Let's make some green.